I don't want to make this a show about, like. Like I said, we'll do the slideshow and the photo sharing. Now, one thing about photo sharing, we had a discussion about this at our. We had a discussion about photo sharing at our last board meeting. And we're gonna keep it photo sharing where you can show up your photos, talk about them, exchange some information, like if you have a different shot, how you got that shot. Only if you want to critique will we critique it, because some people, like their image and they don't want to hear, their opinions. But if you want to critique, like you have something that you want to put in for competition, what can I do better? Then certainly just let us know. People give their opinion. But, so we'll finish off with that. That's too dark? No, it's okay with me. That might be too dark. Yeah, we're back. That's good. That's good. That's good. That's good. That's good. Okay. Okay, so
Too much.
yeah, that's in my eyes now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I guess they like it. Oh, there, okay. So photo pills, have to sign on to it. Photo pills, they call photo pills because it's like a, I guess like a medicine for the camera. So, I was signing on, I was dropping you off. Sign on. Yeah, wait just a second. Sorry, we had it working before, but then it shut off. I have to stop sharing. You want to share? Can't get the. You gotta get out the next one. Oh, sorry, folks. I had it working in practice. I'm gonna shut it off and let's go in again. All right, let's, we're gonna come back to this. I guess Zoom is like kind of taking over my, oh, if I can. Oh, I can't, there we go. For some reason I had something. Sure. You want to get into you? No, I have to go. Okay. We had it with. I'll try it. Have you got my picture on there? Oh, yeah, I got it now. I guess you gotta put it on there first on our screen. Podcast. Okay. All right, well, this is sorry, folks. We're gonna go into photo films. So this is what the app looks like. Step over here. Can't get rid of this high screen, so we'll just work around it. We got, it comes up with all these different ones, and you can scroll up a little. And they call these pills. The app is about, I think we said it's $10.99. And that's it. I bought mine like 4 or 5 years ago. And, you know, it works. But let me just show you a few things that you can do with it. So you can look at the sun, you know, and it tells you, you know, okay, tells you, you know, daytime, golden hour ends, moonrise, so on. Has all this information on it. It also has, if you click on the bottom here, calendar, and it's going to tell you sunrise and sunset. You can see what will be on a certain day. They have augmented reality where you can actually hold it up. And if you can see, I'm looking, the sun is almost directly overhead. If I was outside, I could line it up to the sun. But you know, I have right now I'm pointing it towards the ceiling, my camera. So this is good if you're on location and you want to see like where it's going to set. See, because I can go, you see the line over here? And it tells you the time, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, it's getting golden hour, 8:14, it's gonna set. So it's kind of nice that, you know, if you're there at the time, it will tell you. And then, it also does the same thing for the moon, and hit back. So like I want to see when the next, it tells you about today, or I can see the calendar. And I can see the next full moon is on June 3rd. And what this little dot is, shows you all the different phases of the moon. So, and again, it also has the augmented reality, so you can, okay, you can see the moon is not really, oh, here it is. It's so the moon is over to the Zoom, that's the west. I mean, the east. It's coming up. So it can tell you like right now where it is. So that's pretty good. Then it has, we talked about last week about the hyperfocal table. You set your camera. So I have my camera setting this as Z6. And that's what we were talking about last week, where it says if you're at focal at 24, hyperfocal length is 4 feet. Have you taken pictures of the stars? There's one that says spot stars. So now I can set that up. I have it set up for my camera. C6, I have it at 85 millimeter, 1.8. This is how far you are from the celestial equator. So I would always leave that on 0 because I mean, they're not going to move as fast as you. Not sure the direction. I think that's the left. If you're pointing north, you know, the star's moving a little circle. And what are you rising more? So just leave it at 0. And it's going to tell me the MPF rule will be 1.4 seconds I can go to. Now, in the past, I used to use the 500 rule and it would be 6 seconds and I get these little blurs. So with this, I know I gotta be 1.4 around there. So, and then you can change it, like if I'm gonna switch to a 24. Go in here and. I go to a 24, I'm gonna get really a wide shot. So now, you know, using the same parameters, it's 4.7 seconds. Before it'll show any movement. But in the past, it would be 21 seconds I would use, and then I get all these blurs. So with this, it's a little bit more accurate. And you can change, you know, if you shoot a different camera, it would tell you, you know, different information. You can change your camera. But it's really something that, you know, that's good to play with. The best thing about this is if you're planning a trip, you have this planner one. And this would help you see where the sun's going to be at a certain date. Okay, so I had this button over here. You know, looks like a person or whatever. And it's showing me exactly, you know, we're at the library now. And the yellow is where the sun rose this morning. This is where it's going to set. And this is where it is. Oh, that's the wrong time. Okay, this is where it is now. And it's telling you that the elevation is 83.67 degrees. So 90 degrees is straight up. So you can see it's pretty high at this point. Now, if you want to change it, because, okay, I want to take a picture around sunset, where is it going to be? Well, it's going to set here. But I can move along. You know, if I go on here, I can move the time. You see how I went? When I move the time, it goes at the. I'll put my finger on that bottom bar, and I'm just moving it. And it's telling me at 6:52, it's going to be about 16 degrees above the horizon. And it's going to be in this direction. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to load up Apperson Beach, where I'm going to be next week. And I have it already set, you know, and where it is. So to save time. So this is the south end, Apperson Beach. I have it set for 7:28 p.m. That's where the sun rose, the yellow. This is where it's going to set, the thick orange.
Wow.
And the narrow orange is where it is at that time, at 7:28. At that point, it's got an elevation of 9.63 degrees. So it's just going to be, you know, a little bit above the horizon. And you can then put your finger on this bottom part here, and you can say, where is it going to go? Well, that's below the horizon. And you can see how the elevation is changing as I go forward in time. That's 4 degrees, so it'll be 6 degrees above the horizon at 7:46. So, and then you can see, I'm gonna go where, you know, if you want to see where it's gonna be, I'm just pinching that to make it show more. There's really no sights there. But if I want to move it somewhere, I can put my finger on that pin and move it, say, if I was gonna go on this trail here. And then it shows me on the trail where's the sun's gonna set. So this is good, like if you going somewhere, like if you want to get like, there's an example of the Statue of Liberty. If you want to get the moon behind the Statue of Liberty, you can show you where to stand. You know, same by time you have to be there. So suppose I want to go, I guess this is probably the pier. If I go to move it to the pier. Just pressed on the pier, so this is gonna tell me. So at the pier, it's gonna be setting, the sun's setting pretty far north at this point. So if I want to get the sun by the pier, then I know I've got to move down the beach a little. If I go there, it's gonna set right around the edge of the pier. So I know I should stay on that position, and then you can make it larger. But you can see right at the edge of the pier, where the sun's gonna set, where it is at this point. So you know how to adjust. I mean, this is just to help you plan. Once you're there, you'll have a better idea of what's going on, but I can plan where I want to be. So it's a pretty good program. If the other thing, it doesn't only do the sun. If you click over here at the top, there's a sun or moon. Now when the moon's lit, when it's blue, that's the moon. And you can see the moon's gonna rise at that time. Over, over here on it, over, and then it's gonna set here. And it's gonna tell you the moon is waxing gibbous, 88.2%. At that point, and you can move your time back and forth. Oops. Okay, if you hold down the, what I just did, if you hold down your finger on this, it's gonna expand it. So you can go slower. Just gonna hold it down and then it's good. There we go. So it expands it so you can go slower. Across. You have to change. You see exactly what's going to be. And you can see down here it's getting red. That means you're getting into golden hour, getting darker. So you know the moon will be more visible. So I'm gonna now if I want to change the date, I'm just going to click down here on the date. Put it to. Okay, so it's back to now. I get the moon, and now I can click it again. I get no lines. Now I get the sun and the moon. The moon is the blue, and then the sun's here. So it's helpful to plan. Now we set the. Suppose I want to get the moon rising somewhere. A full moon rising. So I'm going to go to the moon calendar. We said the next full moon is June 3rd. That's the bottom there. All right, so now I'm going to go back to planner. And I'm just going to click on that. And I'll change the date to June 3rd. So now we're on June 3rd, and we're going to see where is the moon. I'm just going to click on it, get the sun out, so we just see the moon. So you can see it's on. Okay, so you can see now it's starting to come up. So the moon's going to come up over land over here. So that's not really, if you want to get it over water, you could choose a spot. Now I was going to go to the bridge over there on 776. There's a little fishing pier. So if I go over there, drop my pin there. So at that point, it's going to come up over water. So if I want to go get the moon shot coming up over the water, I can go on a bridge. And this is at 8:45, it'll be up a little. So at 8:45, it'll be 5 degrees above the horizon. But this way I can plan a shoot. That's where I want to take a shot. I can, use it. So it's a good program. There's a lot to it, and you can get easily confused. Because I had it for a long time, I didn't know how to use it. Oh. But, you know, just if you get it, just try with the basics. Like I say, I started out just using the sun and the moon, and then some, you know, go to some of the tables. They'll show you to look up the Galactic Center. Also, like in Planner. You can move the scoreboard across. So it's information.
How far ahead can you plan this?
I think you can plan years.
Years, they know them.
Let's see, I go to date. I don't think it's limited by, no. June to 31. So, that's what we're putting on June 3rd to 31. Where will we be then?
Okay.
Not on that bridge.
So it's a good way to, you know, if you're really into planning your trips, like I got a trip plan to Yellowstone, so I'm gonna, you know, start using this to kind of plan out where I want to be at certain times. Because, you know, usually when I go somewhere, I end up running around and trying to get the sunset, you know, in the right spot. So this way you can go in advance, you can plan it out. And you know, you could be at that spot where you want to be. Because, you know, like I said, usually at sunset, I'm like running around trying to get the best spot. And then, you know, you can't control the people, you know, there's people in the way. Okay. So any questions on that? Or if you get, you know, if you get it, you get stuck, you know, bring it to the next meeting. And I'll, you know, give you, you know, hands-on, you know, how to use it. Personally. Like I said, it took me a long time before I could figure out how to use it.
Is this the paper? You bought this version?
Yeah, I went, Scott Kelby was the one that recommended this.
Yeah,
And he said it was $5, but when I went home, it was $10. Now I think it's $11.
I know they have a free one. I've had it for a while. I thought I got,
Yeah,
maybe I didn't pay.
I had about, because it was before the pandemic. That's how I kind of think of things now.
I think it's around $12 now.
Yeah, it's at 12. Yeah, and it's forever. It's not, and it updates automatically. You don't have to pay for any updates. So,
I guess I would pay.
and it has all these tables on it. So I mean, it's just a way if you want to plan. I mean, in any kind of photography, but especially landscape photography. Landscape photography, you got composition you can control. Lighting, you can't control, but you can make the most of it by planning, being in the right spot at the right time, get the proper lighting. But that's like the two biggest elements in landscape photography, composition and lighting.
If you use the exposure, you can also use filters and huge density filters and tell you what the exposure should be.
Yeah, yeah, well, I already shut off, but yeah, it has a, if you put like an ND filter on, you can take your test shot and say it tells you to be at 1/60th of a second at f/16. And then you can say, you know, put it like an ND6 on it or an ND10, and then it'll tell you what exposure you should be at based on what your normal exposure is. This way you can just put the filter on, you can get a, you know, you get the shot first time. So, but I guess they call it pills because it's all things that can help you, you know. But, and then it shows you how long you do star trails for, and it just has, it has so much stuff on it. It's like, but like I said, the best thing for me, the sun and the moon stuff I've been using for a long time because that was easy. The planner, I think, is just great to, you know, to plan your shots. Because the sun and the moon stuff for right now, where you are, you can think with the planner, you can plan in advance. You can plan anywhere in the world. So I think it works out good. You know, want the sun or the moon rising behind the Eiffel Tower, And you can be there in, in August, so you can plan it out. What time you have to be there, where you should be. But, it just helps. I don't know what I did with the whole years. Any questions on that? Like I say, if you can't advance. If you get stuck on it, if you get it, you get stuck on it, just bring it to a meeting. I'll help you with it. If I can help you, I don't know everything about it. It's like a real complicated program. But there's ways to put in, like if you want to see the one example is you want to see the moon behind us. And then you can tell you when a full moon will be, that would be at that aspect, where would be behind it, and you can kind of figure out where to stand. So it really helps you plan. Okay, smartphone photography. Let's just go back. So the thing about smartphone photography, it's a very good camera now. It's in, the 14 is like a 48 megapixel when you shoot in RAW. So it's a high quality camera, but it is a small sensor. So there's still limitations of what you can do with it. But for daytime shots, for like I was saying last week, kids, it was just great rather than carry around the big camera. But you got to think of it as a camera, not as just take it out of my pocket, take a shot, put it back. You got to kind of plan out your shot. Look at your composition, crop it right, check the lighting, treat it like a camera, you'll get better pictures. What we said last week about, and I know it's my biggest problem, trying to keep, slow down, just slow down, take the picture. So treat it like a camera. It's amazing the shots that you can get with it. Like I said, I took pictures of grandkids, I gave them out, and everybody got them printed out because they thought they were great, and it was just, why did I carry a big camera around? But you can use it, when I used to travel a lot, I used to always bring a second camera body with me. I never used it anyway, but just peace of mind. But I always have this as a second camera now. So I'm only carrying one, now I used to carry a lot of lenses. Now I just try to keep it simple. So, but it's a good quality camera. I just find sometimes if you're shooting sunsets, sometimes the pixels aren't there, the way you want it. But for those of you that use like Lightroom, like when I shoot a picture with my phone, and I don't use Lightroom to take the picture, I use the iPhone camera app. But it goes right from that camera app. I have it set so it goes right into my Lightroom. And then when I get home, I put it on my computer and it downloads the pictures right onto my computer. And I can use it in Lightroom Classic. So, and you can set that up. If you get stuck, if you want to do that, bring your phone. I'll show you how to do that next time. So you can also shoot, like I said, you can shoot RAW. And when you're setting up the camera, which is good, if you go into, I know Victor showed me one once about, he got me started on this, about how to shoot flowers where you can get really close up. So if you go into camera, which I have somewhere here, you can set your parameters and set it up for, find it when I need to.
Yeah, I'm here right here. You go into.
Yeah, I got it.
So,
Yeah, so you go into camera, you get in settings, and then you can, you set your record, what you want to record video at. So, slow motion, the videos here are just fantastic on these cameras. A couple of settings that you might want to do. In composition, I put the grid on. It gives you the rule of thirds. Because again, like I said, you're trying to, sometimes with the, it being smaller, you're not holding it straight with the grid on it, helps you hold it straight. So I always, I put the grid on it. And there's other settings, for photographic styles. You can use, I just use the standard, but they have vivid, they have a little different things you can use standard because I change it in Lightroom anyway. The macro control.
What about the next one?
Yeah, put that on. It's one of the controls.
Just a button you put.
Yeah, I have it, but I don't
Yeah.
have it on.
Yeah, oh, no, you got it on, yeah. Oh, you have it, yeah, it was on. So put it on, and then when you're taking something really close,
Mhm.
it's gonna really focus close. I mean, it's like having, rather than go out and buy a macro lens, with the camera.
There it is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
So you
Never
might,
use it.
yeah, you might want to try that.
yeah, so when you're doing a close-up, you get close, you get that little flower.
Yeah,
Try that one.
yeah,
Perfect.
yeah. So, yeah, Victor showed me that a few months ago, and then I said, oh, wait. So, with these things, they change so much that it's hard to stay on top of everything. So, but I shoot, when I go into the camera, like I said, I use the regular camera one on the iPhone. And one other thing that in settings that you might want to do. When I use the camera, I like to be able to use it quick. So there's one that says preserve settings.
Mhm.
So I have that off. What preserve settings means is it'll go to your last setting that you used. So if you're shooting movies, video, it'll go back to video. If you're shooting, portraits, it'll go back to portraits. I like to not have that go back to anything because I like to be able to, if I have to take something fast, I want to take it out and take a shot. So it defaults right back to the normal camera.
Although it says Apple Pro RAW, you might want to leave that one on.
Yeah, so Apple Pro RAW, if you leave the Pro RAW on, it'll give you an option, you can turn it on. It's not gonna be on all the time. So I don't think that you're gonna be shooting everything in RAW. There's gonna be a little. Maybe I should went back on, it says RAW. Yeah, but you have to have the RAW on. So if you go to the top,
Mhm.
because I don't preserve the settings, I have RAW off.
Yeah.
So if I put that to preserve settings, then RAW might stay on, but I want all that off. I want to be able to shoot. RAW uses a lot of space. And you don't need to use RAW on everything, but if you're shooting like something that you have a lot of detail in, I would switch to RAW. So like mine, it has an X through a line through the RAW. So just to turn it on, you just touch it and then you get the RAW on. And you can take a picture. And the same thing with live view. I'll show you live view in a second, but the live view just takes a whole bunch of pictures and it makes it look like a video. Because what the video is just all still pictures that are put together at 1/25 of a second or so. And your eye perceives it as motion, even though it's all just still pictures. So that's what live does. But I'll show you what we do with live. When I went out a couple weeks ago and I took some pictures at the lighthouse on Boca Grande. So I took my tripod out, I took my ND filters and the camera, and it's taking some long exposures. And then we went to watch the sunset, and we got the chairs and we sat down, and I didn't feel like going back to go out and get my tripod and everything else. So I just used the cell phone. Can you go to the next one?
Gotta click in there. Try.
So I took this with the cell phone. So you see, I have the blur of the water. So what I did, I used live view. And live view is like a movie, so you gotta hold it really steady. And this is handheld. So I was able to hold the state up that the pillars are sharp, you know, in the sky, but it blurred the exposure. So rather than getting the tripod and the ND filters and everything, I was able to do this with the cell phone. So I did a live view. Can we go to the next one? And then once you take the picture, you have to go to, you click on this live, and then it's gonna open up this box. Once you click on the live, you can go loop, bounce, long exposure. You want to hit long exposure. And what it does, it takes all those pictures and merges them all together. So this part stays sharp and the water blurs. So what would it take me, you know, if I did my regular camera, took 10 pictures and I went to Lightroom, well, I mean Photoshop and blend them all together, and this does it all in an instant. So, but this is a great little trick. You know, just shoot them in live, hold it very steady. And you know, then go to click on live, click to long exposure. Now there's apps that you can get for the phone that you can take really long exposures, but I think this does the trick. Like, go to next. Oh, wait a minute. Go to the next one again. Yeah.
Previous or?
Yeah, next. Okay, so that same night I was shooting with the ND filters. So this is a 3-second exposure. You know, so I blurred the water. You know, I use this with the regular camera. And with the ND filters. And again, you know, so using the ND filters rather than waiting for it to get dark. With the ND filters, see, I got the light up on the rocks, the sun, it's still shining. So if you go to the next one. So same thing, this was a 5-second exposure. So it just gives that silky look. I'm sorry, I just can't go back, get the back.
You see that?
So anyway, any questions on that? It's a nice little trick. You know, to do it with your cell phone. Okay, and it's working now.
Yeah, we had to plug it in.
Oh. Now, also, there's a portrait mode. So what I did was, I said it'd be nice, you know, sometimes you want to blur a background. So I just shot it in portrait mode and I focused in on the flower. Canis, I think it's called. I focused in on the flower and I got kind of just the sun in the background a little blurred out. So I thought that was a different effect. So that was you know, cell phone camera picture. So you can take decent pictures with it. I mean, the flower shop. I mean, I did do some processing in Lightroom too, but I didn't do any blurring in Lightroom. Good important. Now we can go on and on about cell phones. So this is just like a basic. So you can use it in landscape. But again, I find around sunsets, I don't know, the colors. I use the Apple RAW. And if you use that, if you go into Lightroom, for example, you can change the, you can go to Adobe Color, Adobe Landscape, but the Apple one seems to be the best edition. But I'm still not happy with it. Something I gotta play with. Okay, editing, again, I'm not gonna get into individual software. Just some thoughts when you're editing a landscape picture. Excuse me. Make sure, you know, unless you're looking for some special effect, make sure you rise to this level. And then sometimes you just don't notice it. You know, you're looking at the subject, you're looking at everything, and then And then you show it to somebody, say, oh, yeah, that horizon's crooked, you know? Mostly another photographer. So, but so when you're gonna go with the crop, level your horizon. When you're cropping, just check around the edges of the photo. Do you have anything sticking out? You need to, either crop it or, remove something. Check your composition when you're cropping. Do you want it that center? Do you want to, move it off a little, use a rule of thirds? Most software let you, use a grid over it, so you can do rule of thirds, or the golden spiral, or anything else. But, usually when I edit, I usually use the rule of thirds, and it doesn't have to be exact, but it gets you kind of like in a ballpark. But not everything works good in rule of thirds either, so. Is your subject defined? Is there something, sometimes we see, we walk the landscape and just taken away by the beauty. But how do you photograph it? Sometimes it's just take it home. You have that emotional attachment to being here, and you take it home and show it to somebody. Yeah, all right. So, if there's a subject, it helps you focus. Even like if, you're taking, say, a sunset and a mountain scene or something. If you have somebody standing, there, like a silhouette, you take a silhouette of a person, that would give it a little interest or something. So try to have something that would be interesting that, so, look for a subject. And sometimes the subject, it's gonna be kind of, you're not gonna see it very well because the lighting, what have you. So you may want to work on it in post, brighten up the subject. A lot of times you put a vignette around it to lead the eye into the picture. Or use a radial filter to just make a certain area, brighter. So, see if you have a clearly defined subject, if that's what you're looking for. Take your white balance. Sometimes, look at a photo and the colors are way off. Now, sometimes it's supposed to be off, like a sunset or what have you. Well, sometimes we'll overdo a sunset and then everything is just so real. So you might want to use your selective filters to maybe just change the color balance of the sky and ground differently. But that's your time to be creative. Do you have detail in the shadow? Do you want detail in the shadow? Maybe a lot of time you don't want detail in the shadow. So do you want to bring that out? Do you want to keep it silhouetted? Highlight detail, is the highlights blown out? Maybe you have to, try to recover some of the highlights. A lot of programs you can recover quite a bit now. Mid-tone contrast. That's like a clarity slider. What happens sometimes you take a picture and it just looks kind of blur. It needs a little mid-tone contrast and that kind of makes it sharp look and brings it out. Saturation, did you oversaturate? Did you unsaturate? Sometimes, I look at a picture and I'm working on it, and then I finish it, and the next day I look at it, what was I thinking? It's so totally oversaturated. So sometimes you might want to, look at it the next day and say, is it still right? So, noise, is it noisy? Do you want noise? There's a difference between noise and grain. So noise, basically every sensor has some noise. It's visible, sometimes it's not clearly visible. The old film cameras had grain, which we kind of got used to, especially with black and white. But sometimes when I do a black and white, I'll add grain to it. Not noise, but grain. So generally, you want to get rid of the noise. If you want to sharpen, don't over sharpen. I like very sharp pictures, and then sometimes I feel they over sharpen. So watch your sharpening, get it right. And dust, sense of dust. If you have sky in a picture, there's a good chance you might have some sense of dust. I clean my sensor, but sometimes I get a little, especially with the mirrorless cameras. Because when you switch lenses, it's all open. going on. So watch your sensor dust. Because especially if you print it up, it's gonna show up on a print, we may not see it on the screen. So just go through it, the software, Lightroom has a good, on dust. Get rid of the sensor dust, be making that. But those are just, okay, so I'm trying to think of some thoughts, about editing without actually editing. Picture. And then this is, now not every picture comes out of camera the way you want it. So when I was taking that other picture with the blowing the water, I turned around and, this is what was behind me. So this is what came out of the camera, not what I saw, but I had to tone it down a little. I had to keep it a little darker because I didn't blow everything out. The sun, right? Setting sun is always hard to get a picture of. So I think I went to about F22 so I can get the rays, when you go on to a F22, you usually get the rays of the sun, and you want to like partially block, then you get the sun rays. So, this is kind of blah. I brought out a little bit of it, but I don't want to bring out too much because I don't want to distract it. So I put out a little of the ground, gave it a little bit, warmed up this area a little bit, lightened these clouds. I did a gradient filter on the clouds, so it's brighter here, then as you go further away from the sun. They don't want to brighten the world equally. And probably did a bunch of other things. But generally, it doesn't always come out the way you want it, so you have to do some editing. And that's that we talked about. And I think that's it for my formal presentation. So now we're gonna go over, let me do the slideshow.
That's on this thing.
It's on there.
Not it?
What's that slideshow? So it's on there. That's one is a slideshow. Okay.
Oh, it's PowerPoint. Okay, it's PowerPoint.
About more about the landscape.
Oh, no. Okay.
Yeah.
What is that? Oh, it's a video. You gotta put it someplace so that we can open it. Let's see if I can find it. Okay. Gotta do a share screen.
Okay, yeah, when you do the share screen. Okay, before you get off this,
Yeah.
click over here, share found, and optimize the video form.
Doesn't click.
Okay, let's see what the clear sound. If then people on Zoom wouldn't be able to hear the sound. It's gonna be bad. Maybe we'll work on you.
Yeah, let's see if we can get there.
This is those pictures that's over there.
Continue slideshow.
Tony, we on Zoom can't see that. Tony, we're not seeing it on Zoom.
Unless it's just. You sharing screen?
Yeah.
Yeah. Go team.
We didn't see any of that on Zoom.
Okay, we'll try again. Let's see.
So. First of all, we gotta get this off of this. Let's see. Because we're recording this. Just,